I want to welcome everyone to the Bard College Undergraduate Awards ceremony. My name is Deirdre Delbert. I'm the Dean of the College, and I am being joined this evening by my colleagues, David Shine, who is the Dean of Studies, known to many of you, and of course, our President, Leon Botstein, who I think has a few opening remarks before we begin to make the awards.
I want to welcome everybody on this award ceremony. I regret that we can't do this in person. We do this usually every year around this time, around a meal, and we actually go to through the process of handing out the certificate of award that each of you is going to receive, those of you who are getting awards. And it's a very festive occasion. It's also an unusual occasion because it allows us to reflect on the history of the college. And those of you who have been to award ceremonies before will recall that. These awards derive from a variety of sources. Some are alumni, some are former parents. They're often in memory of people who have died. Some, have been former employees and teachers here. Some have been alumni who have died very young and their parents have set these awards up. Sometimes it's alumni who died and their children set the awards up. And so there's no real logic to the awards. They are simply an accumulation of the desire of people to establish things in memory or in honor of people whom they admire, and there's no equal distribution because of the sort of spontaneous nature of it. The other thing I'd like to say is that first I want to thank Deirdre and David Shine and everybody who's involved in getting this done. I want to congratulate everybody who is getting an award. And I also want to say that the nice thing about awards at Bard is that because of the senior project and because of moderation, both grades and awards don't carry the kind of symbolic or internal significance as they do at some other places. We explicitly don't have a Phi Beta Kappa chapter because we don't believe that grades and kind of numerical rankings are the way quality and excellence is to be understood or established. At the same time, we are extremely generous to our colleagues, students and as faculty, to the achievements that people get and the recognition they receive. Sometimes it's a matter of being lucky. It's never about being the best or better along a single standard. It's extremely helpful for those of you who do get awards, often in getting jobs and applying to graduate and professional schools. And it's nice. And it also links you to a continuous history. And the people who give these awards, some of them are alive still, and it means a lot to them. We communicate with the givers, and they are very curious who this year won the award in the memory of their mother, their father, their children, or their former colleagues. So it's a family occasion. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. And we're extremely proud of you, especially this class of 2020, which is not here on this award ceremony. They have their separate award ceremony, which will be held at the senior dinner at commencement. So the awards winners here are all first, second, and third year students, rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But all of you have distinguished yourself in this very difficult and troubled time. And we very much look forward to resuming on-campus learning. And the nice thing is that we've actually missed it. And we're eager to get back to the community that we cherish here at Bard. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this back to our dean, and I want to thank her again. And and David as well, who's really been tireless in his efforts to support students as they go through their academic programs. So let me turn over to Deirdre. The routine here is that Deirdre will read the award. I'll say a very brief word about it, and then David will announce the recipient.
So let's begin. The first honor of the evening goes to the Alumni Reunion Scholar, a student who has demonstrated academic excellence and exemplary citizenship.
So this award, as you can see, was created in early in the college's coeducational history. So the college was part of Columbia University for most of the 1940s, and then it became independent as Bard College on its own. And the first time it admitted women, the first class of women, was 1948. So these are, this is a scholarship set up by the first generation of Bard graduates in its now over 160-year history, to come back to the campus in the traditional way that alumni do. And so, and to create a board of governors, that is to say, an alumni association that has a board of governors. And this is one of the first things they did, was to create this scholar.
Thank you, Leon. The Alumni Reunion Scholar this year is Sylvia Shred. Congratulations, Sylvia.
The Amicus Foundation Scholar is a qualified and deserving student in the field of economics.
So the Amicus Foundation is one of many foundations that provide to a variety of institutions scholarships, and in this case, focused on economics, and we're one of the institutions that has this scholarship.
The Amicus Foundation Scholar is Gunnar Schichtel.
The Hannah Arendt Scholar is awarded to a first, second, or third year student of distinction.
So Hannah Arendt may not need an introduction. She was married to Heinrich Blücher, who taught philosophy here from 1951 to his retirement in the mid-60s. Hannah Arendt has turned out to be one of the most important political theorists and philosophers of the 20th century. She died in 1975. I had the honor of being a student of hers. She was actually on my senior project board when I was an undergraduate. And a great mind and a wonderful person, and very, very committed to Bard. She's buried in the Bard Cemetery alongside her husband. And she cared deeply about the future of Bard. And she played a behind-the-scenes role in actually my becoming president. And she believed in its potential as a place to think, which is really, she's in a way the inspiration behind that motto. And so whoever earns this should be very proud to have received this scholar award.
And we are very proud of her too. The Arendt Scholar is Julia Gloninger.
The Artinian Scholar is a talented student in the Division of the Arts.
So Artinian is a former faculty member who was a very popular teacher in the 50s. He was a terribly loyal Bowdoin alumnus, and he was taught French, and he was interested, among other things, in Maupassant, and he also was an incredible collector of art and objects. He was not the most beloved colleague, and he appears in a somewhat sardonic portrait in Mary McCarthy's legendary novel, The Groves of Academe.
The Artinian Scholar this year is Raphael Walker.
The Association of Episcopal Colleges Charitable Service Scholar is a student who is engaged in volunteer service in the campus community and beyond.
Bard, as you know, was founded by a devout Episcopalian and has remained in the Episcopal community for its entire life. We not only have our own chapel and our own chaplain, but we are partially responsible for providing the rector of St. John Barrytown, the church, the Gothic, American Gothic church that is on River Road. The college became non-sectarian really after the war. When it joined Columbia, it too was an Episcopal institution. And an association of Episcopal colleges was created in the post-war period. Kenyon is a member of that, Sewanee, the University of the South, and Hobart, William Smith, and among others, and a group of predominantly Black colleges in the South are part of this association. And most of their work now, the Associated Episcopal Colleges work, is in what we now call civic engagement, in connecting what you do as a student with service to the larger community.
The recipient of the Association of Episcopal College Charitable Service Scholar this year is Eliza Watson. Congratulations, Eliza.
The Milton and Sally Avery Scholar is a talented student in the arts.
Milton Avery was a neighbor of Bard's in Woodstock and one of the great American painters of the 20th century. Sally Avery was his widow, much younger woman than he was as a man when they married. And she was also a painter and has a daughter, March, who's also a painter. And they lived across the river and were friendly with Matt Phillips, who taught painting here. And Sally Avery became generous to Bard and to support the graduate MFA program and some facilities for the arts, and became patrons of the college.
The Avery Scholar, I'm happy to say, is Moshe Olagunju.
The John Bard Scholars Prize in Science, Mathematics, and Computing is awarded this year to 2 students for outstanding academic achievement in the field of interest.
So John Bard was the founder of Bard College. That's why it's named Bard College. And he founded the college because his son, Willie, died as a young boy. And he created the college as a memorial, in a way, to his own son. And he considered education to be a major philanthropic enterprise. This is the oldest prize given in the college's history, these John Bard Scholars, and they are awarded by the faculty.
We have 2 Bard Scholars in Science, Math, and Computing. The first one is Narayan Darakananda, and the second is Frank Rybicki. Congratulations to you both.
The John Bard Scholars Prize in Social Studies is awarded for outstanding academic achievement in the field of interest.
I think you'll see that there are 4 categories matching the 4 divisions. What is usual about Bard is that it doesn't have a humanities division, but has a languages and lit division and a social studies division and an arts division, as well as a science division.
Actually, the other John Bard Scholars this year, Leanne, are going to seniors, and so they'll remain a secret until the senior dinner.
I see.
The John Bard Scholar in Social Studies this year, I'm proud to say, is my own advisee, Scout Ederson. Yay, Scout. I did not have my thumb on the scale.
The Andrew J. Bernstein Class of '68 Prize is awarded to a junior for the purpose of assisting in the preparation of the student's senior project in psychology.
Here's an example of parents memorializing their son who died at a unbelievably young age. And he was a psychology major. And so the way they honor his memory is to award this to a Bard undergraduate interested in psychology every year. And that is a decision made by the faculty.
And this year, the psychology faculty have voted the Bernstein Prize to Anna Guava.
And the Andrew J. Bernstein Class of '68 Memorial Scholars go to psychology majors who demonstrate a deep commitment to the field. We have 2 students this year who've won this award.
The first Bernstein Scholar is Chandler O'Learden, and the other is Kirsten Ostberg.
The Heinz and Elizabeth Bertelsmann Scholar is a student who demonstrates serious interest in either politics or environmental studies.
So Heinz Bertelsmann taught political science at Bard for 30 years at least, from the moment of the independence of Bard in the late 40s and early 50s. He was from a non-Jewish German family, not related to the Bertelsmann publishing firm. He was an extremely exacting teacher and a force to be reckoned with, an anti-fascist who fled Germany on principle, not by necessity. He married a woman and they shared a deep interest in photography. So he was not only a political scientist, but he did a tremendous amount of photographic work. And he loved the college was his life. And they left their entire estate to the college and allowed us to create this scholarship and also to build the Bertelsmann Campus Center, which is named for both of them.
The Bertelsmann Scholar, I'm happy to say, is Leah Glanzer.
The Bito Scholar is an undergraduate from Hungary in the Conservatory of Music.
Bito is the last name of Laszlo and Olivia Bito. Laszlo Bito is one of the discoverer of the first great and effective glaucoma drug against the eye disease glaucoma. He went to Bard as a refugee from Hungary after the revolution of 1956, along with 100 other Hungarians who came to Bard initially to learn English, and some of them stayed to do their undergraduate degrees. He is also an author of many books, some novels and some historical books. He was a professor at Columbia University for years and years and years. And then with the fall of communism, he moved back to Budapest. And he and his wife have become patrons of the conservatory, extremely generous to the college. They built the Bito Conservatory building, and wonderful people still alive and well in Hungary.
The Bito Scholar this year is Islard Schroff. Congratulations, Islard.
The Heinrich Blücher Scholar is a first, second, or third year student of distinction.
Heinrich Blücher was Hannah Arendt's husband. He actually had no formal education. He taught philosophy here, and he created the first year seminar, which was built around the great minds from Lao Tse to Jesus to Socrates, it parallels in a way Karl Jasper's books on the great philosophers. He was a real character, a charmer with many, many talents. He did everything from be an active communist in Germany in the 1920s to write lyrics for operettas and Broadway musicals. He was a real man about town, and he had a particular interest in the arts, and the work that he's best known for is in aesthetics.
The Blücher Scholar is Christina Jones.
So we now begin to announce the book awards for excellence in language learning. All of these awards are given for effective language learning, growth, and improvement over the course of study, enthusiasm, diligence, commitment, and leadership in the classroom.
This requires no explanation. Congratulations to you all.
So the award in Chinese goes to
Andrew Love.
The award in French
goes to Alberto Arias Flores.
The award in German
is for Ty Holtzman.
The award in Greek,
Christoph Jabo.
The award in Hebrew.
For Sydney Herman.
The award for Italian.
This year goes to Cam Goldberg.
Japanese.
Is for Carmen Chen.
The award for Latin.
This year goes to Emily Allen.
The award for Russian.
Is for Jonah Roth.
And the award in Spanish.
Goes to Madoris Santana. Congratulations to all of our book award winners.
The Alexander Borodin Scholar is an outstanding conservatory student who also has moderated into biology, chemistry, biochemistry, or physics in a pursuit of music and science as exemplified by the great surgeon, chemist, and composer, Alexander Borodin.
This is a new award. Alexander Borodin, as the citation suggests, was one of the sort of mighty handful, the mighty five of Russian nationalist composers. And he was an exceptional person. And interestingly, maybe very akin to Bard's spirit, where he lived and worked, he had a studio and a chemistry lab side by side.
That's awesome. The recipient this year is Gabby Hartman.
The John W. Boylan Scholar in Medicine and Science goes to a pre-med or science major who maintains an interest in literature or music.
John W. Boylan was a major figure in biology and had many children who went to Bard, Terence Boylan, John Boylan, and the family has had not only a deep interest in science, but also in scientists that have a wide humanistic sensibility.
Bring her back on the stage one more time. The Boylan Scholar is Gabby Hartman.
Congratulations, Gabby. The Irma Brandeis Prize is given to a third-year student with an excellent academic record whose senior project in literature, languages, history, art history, philosophy, or the history of science is outstanding for both broadness of vision and precision of thought.
Irma Brandeis was an imposing intellectual figure and a dominant influence in the curriculum and life of Bard College for most of its immediate post-war period. She was a cousin of the great Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis, and she was in her own right a distinguished Dante scholar who wrote a book called The Ladder of Vision. She also was the muse and lover of Eugenio Montale, the Italian poet, and had a colorful life about which she spoke nothing. But she was a formidable upholder of the highest literary and academic standards. She's immortalized in a short story by Saul Bellow and was deeply admired by the American poet James Merrill, whose colleague she was at Bard. And it is through his efforts that this prize exists.
The Brandeis Prize winner this year, I'm happy to say, is Mercer Greenwald.
The Kenneth Bush Class of 36 Memorial Scholar in Mathematics goes to a junior who has demonstrated excellence in mathematics.
Kenneth Bush, as you can see from this placard here, graduated during the Columbia years from 1920 to 1948, when it was all men, and there was a very strong bias in the enrollment to the sciences. So there are many distinguished alumni come out of that period who are in the biomedical or in mathematics or in physics, and Kenneth Bush is one of them.
The Bush Scholar is Riti Ball.
The Harry J. Carman Scholar is a student who demonstrates general academic excellence.
This is also a gift given by an alumnus from the Columbia years. Harry J. Carman was the Dean of Columbia College, and in that role had some oversight and interest in the fortunes of Bard, because if you went to Bard from 1928 to the late 40s, mid 40s, you got a Bard degree and a Columbia degree. So he was Dean of Columbia College.
The Carman Scholar this year is Ariella Katzman Jacobson.
The Class of 65 scholar is a student who embodies a spirit of leadership and intellectual curiosity.
So the Class of 65, which gave this scholarship, is unusually active in Bard's affairs and had many members still on the Board of Trustees.
Congratulations, Daniela Mingo.
The Class of 1968 scholar exemplifies the spirit of social activism and community service that distinguished the Class of 1968 during its years at Bard.
1968, as many of you know, was a troubled year in American history, and with a tremendous generational and social unrest. And the members of that class have retained, most of them, for their lives, a spirit of political activism.
The Class of 1968 scholar is Sarita Fleetwood Bradshaw.
Class of 2010 scholar is a student who shows commitment to the social and academic community.
So here you see three people from the class of 2010 who decided to give this scholarship in memory of their classmates.
The Class of 2010 scholar is Muhammad Ali.
Margaret Creel Scholar in Written Arts is an international woman who has distinguished herself in the written arts.
Margaret Creel was a writer, a Canadian writer, and also a musician and well-known in the region as a piano teacher. She was married to Fritz Schaefer, who was the chaplain of the college and an alumnus, and was a major center of the cultural life here at Bard. She was also one of the founders of the Hudson Valley Chamber Music Circle, which is a concert series that happens in June, and a beloved and well-known figure in the Bard community from the late 50s till her death in the 90s.
The Creel Scholar in Written Arts is Mara Garcia.
The Jennifer Day Memorial Prize is awarded to a student with a history of extraordinary academic achievement for the purpose of enrolling in an intercession program at Smolny College in Russia.
Jennifer Day was an assistant professor of Russian who was very gifted and beloved, who died suddenly and unexpectedly while serving on the faculty. And this is put together by her friends and colleagues.
The Day Prize winner this year is Maria Salazar Hernandez.
The Muriel DeGray Scholar is a deserving upper college woman who exemplifies both scholarship and service to the community.
So for those of you who walk into the Bard Cemetery, you'll discover a quite decorative headstone to Muriel DeGray and Gerard DeGray. He taught sociology. He's another person who's pilloried by Mary McCarthy in her novel. But Muriel DeGray was something which doesn't exist anymore, really, is the mythical faculty wife who didn't have a career of her own, but was an omnipresent figure in sort of the social life of faculty. So she was a very visible and active volunteer, if you will. And her friends gave this scholarship in her memory.
The DeGray Scholar is Felicia Flores.
The Alice P. Doyle Award in Environmental Studies is given to a student who shows outstanding potential in the field of environmental studies, particularly in exploring the social dimensions of environmental issues.
So this is given again by the family because of Alice Doyle's commitment to the environmental causes.
This year's Doyle Award winner is Julia Gloninger.
The Berta and Harold J. Drescher Scholar is a student of high moral and intellectual stature.
So the Dreschers have only connection to Bard through David Schwab from the class 52, who longtime chairman of the board and chairman of the executive committee, who had deep admiration, richly deserved by David. And to honor him, they gave a scholarship here at Bard.
This year's Drescher Scholar is Megumi Kibuba. Congratulations, Megumi.
The George and Mary Economou Scholar is a student who demonstrates academic excellence and who transferred to Bard from Dutchess Community College.
So this scholarship is given by people whose commitment is both to Dutchess and to Bard, and they wish to support our making it easier to make the transition, the articulation between a community college in our backyard, in our county, and Bard.
And we're proud to recognize Teddy Stone.
Congratulations, Teddy. The Ralph Ellison Scholar is a student who has contributed significantly to the community's understanding of difference and its efforts to end discrimination.
So Ralph Ellison taught at Bard and was very fond of his experience here. He lived together with Saul Bellow, the novelist, in Tivoli. And this is one of the ways we honor his connection to Bard's history.
Our Ellison Scholar is Sage Swaby.
We have two Fred L. Emerson Foundation Scholars to recognize this evening, both students of distinction.
So no one will remember, but there used to be a very popular shoe called Energetics. Energetics shoes, and these were manufactured in upstate New York by the Emerson family. And as a result of the money made selling these energetic shoes, which were not stylish shoes, they were the first in the generation of shoes that reputed to be good for your feet, for women only, actually. So the Emersons created a foundation that supported private higher education in upstate New York.
Our Emerson Scholars are Alex Simmons and Leah Solenston. Congratulations to you both. Shoe fits.
The Nisui Ertegun Scholars in Music are qualified and deserving students with a serious interest in music, especially jazz and Black American music. We have 3 students to honor this evening.
The Nisui Ertegun and his brother were very famous promoters and record producers in music, and Nisui Ertegun particularly in the area of jazz. And because of Bard's distinction in the arts, they chose to give these scholarships to us.
So our first scholar is Michael Baratow. Our second Ertegun Scholar is Michaela Jennifer. And our third is Aiden Samp. Congratulations to the 3 of you.
The Elsie and Otto Fariber Scholar is an individual with determination, a passion for exploration, and a willingness to perform community public service.
So this is from an alumnus who attended Bard before its joining Columbia. The merger with Columbia that was actually engineered by Franklin Roosevelt, who was a trustee of the college in those years. And this has been given for decades.
Our Fariber Scholar this year is Kathy Goeda.
The Naomi Bellinson Feldman Class of 1953 Internship Award is given to support a student internship, preferably related to music or social studies.
Naomi Feldman has been one of the most loyal and devoted alumni of the college, and from the early years of women being part of the college community.
The Bellinson Feldman Internship Award this year goes to Ariel West.
The Louisa E. Fish Class of 59 Bronx Scholar is awarded to a girl from the Bronx.
So Louisa Fish, as you can see, went to the Bronx High School of Science, which remains an important institution in New York, and produced many Bard undergraduates, and in fact, two of its faculty, Mark Lambert and Clark Rodewald, James Rodewald's father. So the rest is self-evident to you from the citation.
Our girl from the Bronx is Anna Guava.
The William Frauenfelder Award is awarded to a sophomore or junior excelling in the study of one or more foreign languages.
William Frauenfelder taught languages at Bard for, as you can see, for many years. He was Swiss. He actually, although born and raised in Switzerland, he went to college in Pomona. The reason he went to a college in Pomona on the West Coast is because his entire family were part of a traveling troupe of yodelers. In fact, the flying Frauenfelders, they were called, you can hear them on the soundtrack of the Disney movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They are the soundtrack. Now, Willie Frauenfelder, the youngest of them, was a reluctant member, and he couldn't wait to get out of this, and he actually then went to graduate school and did a PhD and got a job at Bard. And when Bard was extremely poor, he once told me that he couldn't quite make ends meet, so he actually earned extra money picking apples. He also was a devoutly spiritual man and joined the Dutch Reformed Church here in the area. He died at a very advanced age. A more generous and gentle man you cannot imagine, a more civilized man. And he's one of the few faculty members who doesn't get raked over the coals by Mary McCarthy in the groves of academia.
I don't know if she yodels, but we're very proud of her. Congratulations, Claire Stir. She does yodel.
The Sarah Gelbart Prize in Mathematics is given to a student who shows promise and produces outstanding work in mathematics.
So Abe Gelbart came to Bard to teach mathematics in the late 70s, early 80s. He was a very distinguished mathematician, famous mathematician, who was damaged by the Red Scare, but had a very distinguished academic career. And when he retired, he wasn't ready to retire, he began to teach at Bard. Sarah was his wife. They became very involved in Bard's community, very helpful. Without him, the Rose Building that we have wouldn't be here. And so the family established this prize in mathematics in his wife's and widow's honor.
The Gelbart Prize winner is Nicholas Scheel. Congratulations.
The Seth Goldfein Memorial Scholar displays outstanding leadership in academic work and athletics for the benefit of the entire Bard community.
Seth Goldfein was an undergraduate at Bard, and I think he played soccer and rugby, and he was killed in a freak car accident, and his family established a scholarship in his memory.
The Goldfein Scholar is Riti Ball.
The Eric Warren Goldman Class of '98 Scholar demonstrates excellence in economics.
Eric Goldman made a spectacular career as a young man on Wall Street before going to college. And then, having succeeded, he decided he needed an education, went to Bard, studied economics, and has been a loyal and active alumnus ever since.
The Eric Warren Goldman Scholar is Jonathan Rajewski.
The Philip H. Gordon Family Moral Leadership Scholar has demonstrated moral leadership by actively opposing prejudice, discrimination, and violence.
Philip Gordon was a Bard alumnus from the Boston area, very involved in charities that relate to ethical and moral behavior. And he came from a family of jewelers in the Boston area, which enabled him to accumulate enough to support the causes he cared about. He served on the board and was a very loyal alumnus of the college.
I'm proud to recognize Talaya Robinson Dancy.
The Harold Griffiths Class of 31 Award in Chemistry is given to a deserving third-year student who demonstrates excellence in chemistry.
So Harold Griffiths, like Kenneth Bush, is from the generation of the 30s under the Columbia regime, many of whom did their undergraduate work in the sciences.
The Griffiths Award winner this year is Cicely Rosenbaum.
The Richard D. and Nancy M. Griffiths Scholar is a student who has shown deep appreciation for the Bard campus and an interest in environmental matters.
Well, Dick Griffiths was a legendary figure on the Bard campus. That's why there's the Dick Griffiths Walk. He was the head of buildings and grounds from the 60s to his death. And he was also the local town judge. He was an articulate Republican and loved crossing swords with liberal undergraduates. Deep love of the college. His wife, Nancy, as well. They had one son who went to Bard. She was a nurse by training and also worked as a nurse. And they lived right across the way, very generous to the college, and a more devoted member of the Bard community one can hardly imagine.
The Griffith Scholar is Carrie Ann Canfield.
The Jacob Grossberg Studio Arts Scholar is a deserving and promising student in the Studio Arts program.
Well, Jake Grossberg was one of the most colorful faculty in Bard's history. He taught sculpture and the arts. You can see a piece of his work outside of the Avery studio and the Beto building. That piece of sculpture is by Jake Grossberg. He was also a Korean War veteran and was an unforgettable teacher.
The Grossberg Scholar this year is Cameron Orr.
The Hudsonia Prize is awarded by Hudsonia Limited to a student showing promise in the field of environmental studies.
Hudsonia is an organization closely associated with Eric Kiviat, who is also an alumnus, that's connected to the field station on the Hudson. And this is a consequence, this prize, this award is a consequence of our relationship to Hudsonia.
Our Hudsonia Prize winner is Michaela Martiros.
The Warren Mills Hutchison Scholar in Religion is a student in the religion program who exemplifies inquisitiveness, aptitude for the analysis of primary sources, and inspired original thought.
This is an example of a family memorializing a Bard alumnus who passed away and was obviously deeply involved in religion.
Happy to recognize Zoe Oro Hahn. Congratulations, Zoe.
The Clinton R. and Harriet J. Jones Scholar goes to a student of distinction.
Clint Jones was an extremely active alumnus who became the canon of the cathedral, the Episcopal Cathedral in Hartford. And Harriet is his mother. He was Clint Jones too. You can see they have the same name. So he established this in the honor of his parents. He was an absolutely devoted alumnus and longstanding trustee of the college.
The Jones Scholar is Rachel Lyons.
The Stanley Landsman Scholars are awarded to an outstanding junior and senior majoring in the visual arts.
Stanley Landsman was an unforgettable character, an artist who worked with a lot of experimental forms in the 60s, a New Yorker, and a very close friend of two of Bard's major supporters in the 80s and 90s, Betsy Eli and Leon Levy.
Our first Landsman Scholar of the evening is Jamie Holzel. And our second is Isaiah Schwartz. Congratulations, Jamie and Isaiah.
The Eugene M. Lang Scholar is a student of promise.
So Eugene Lang was one of the most visible philanthropists in higher education. He went to Swarthmore, big benefactor of Swarthmore. He gave a big gift to the new school to create a college which bears his name. And he supported scholarships and institutions whose programs he respected. And he was a pioneer in also connecting higher education to secondary education, and was a lifelong supporter of bards.
Our Eugene Lang Scholar is Maylene Colindres.
The Lenore Latimer Scholar is a moderated student in any division who reflects the spirit of Lenore's dedication and determination in pursuit of a life passion.
Lenore Latimer was a beloved colleague in the dance program, and as you see, she's taught for over 3 decades, and she was really, there wasn't a dance student who didn't appreciate her attentiveness and her devotion to the college. And when she died, she left her estate to the college in order to actually establish this scholarship.
Our Lenore Latimer Scholar is Jahari Fraser.
The Claire Leonard Scholar is a student who demonstrates excellence in the field of music.
Claire Leonard was an organist and taught music and the history of music here at Bard, and keyboard for many years, at a time when the music department was really enormously distinguished. Had the founder of the Budapest String Quartet, Emil Hauser, on it, and Jacob Druckmann and Paul Nordhoff. And but he was the sort of mainstay, the stabilizing force in the music program.
Our Leonard Scholar is Claire Herzog.
The Murray Leibowitz Eastern European Scholar is a student of distinction who is an Eastern European immigrant or child of these immigrants.
Murray Leibowitz was a wonderful man, a trustee of the college. His primary philanthropy was Simon's Rock, where his daughter went. He made a career, a very successful career, in first as a chicken farmer, believe it or not, in New Jersey, and then in real estate, and really admired both Simon's Rock and Bard, and gave this as one of his gifts to the college.
Our Leibowitz Scholar this year is Rhea Abel.
The Jamie Lubar Class of '72 Research Prize is awarded to a student in anthropology, film, or photography to facilitate in the making of an ethnographic or documentary film, video, or photographic series as part of a senior project that combines anthropology and visual media.
So this is, again, to honor an alumnus in these fields.
Congratulations go to Laith Ayogo.
The Natalie Lund Technical Theater Award supports an internship at Bard during the summer and a technical theater internship at a professional company of the student's choice. We have 2 award winners this evening.
So Natalie Lund for years lived in the apartment in Tewksbury. So she was also kind of a dorm parent for a long time. And undergraduates were devoted to her during the leadership of Bill Driver of the theater program. And that's why this exists, and the result of the hard work of alumni to create this award. She ran the theater program when there was no theater, because there was a theater originally and then the theater burned down. And doing theater at Bard was a matter, and dance was a matter of improvisation, much of it dependent on Natalie's ingenuity.
Our first LUN award, the one to work at Bard at Summerscape, goes to Adrian Costa, and the second goes to Angelo Budak. Congratulations to you both.
The Arthur F. Martin Jr. Class of '56 Scholar is a qualified and deserving student in the Division of Sciences, Mathematics, and Computing who intends to enter medical school.
So this is another example of memorializing someone who died too young by his friends and family.
Our Martin Scholar is Rakeem Griffin.
The Robert L. Martin Scholar is a student of exceptional ability in the Bard College Conservatory of Music.
Bob Martin retired last year as the director of the conservatory. He came as Dean of Graduate Studies. He is a distinguished cellist and a distinguished philosopher, and this was established by the college to recognize his contribution to Bard.
Our Martin Scholar is Helen Wu.
The Mary McCarthy Award is given to a junior who, through competitive selection by a special jury, is deemed to be the most promising and talented prose writer entering the senior year.
Mary McCarthy, you've heard me mention her before, the American writer, taught at Bard in the late 40s and again in the 80s, in the 90s, until her death. And she lived on the Bard campus. She was a Vassar graduate, probably Vassar's most famous graduate. And she loved to rub salt in the wounds of Vassar to Bard's benefit. She was an extremely fine teacher, a very generous person, brilliant. She was also Hannah Arendt's best friend.
Our McCarthy Award winner is Rachel Lyons.
The Emerald Rose Mackenzie Class of '52 Scholar is committed to anthropology or sociology and gender studies and demonstrates a strong commitment to humanitarian ideals.
Emerald Rose Mackenzie was the first African-American woman to graduate from Bard.
Our Mackenzie Scholar is Caitlin Hamilton.
The Marie McWilliams and Francis X. McWilliams Class of '44 Scholar is a student who demonstrates an appreciation of education and learning.
So Francis McWilliams, again, a loyal alumnus, graduated in the lowest enrollment history of the college during the Second World War, when Bard was still all male and the draft was on. And he had, there was a moment where there were probably more faculty than there were students. And so he had a terrific experience.
Our McWilliams Scholar this year is Yabo Decho. Congratulations, Yabo.
The Catherine Lynn Mester Memorial Scholar in Humanities is a student who displays a spirit of generosity, kindness, and genuine love of learning.
Oh, so Catherine Lynn Mester was killed in a car accident on the brink of her giving birth to her child. The widower, Joe Luzzi, and the parents created this in her memory.
Our Master Scholar is Rowan Pugh Davis.
The Milner's Canadian Scholar is an excellent student studying at a Canadian university or studying environmental and urban studies.
This one is self-explanatory.
Studying not at a Canadian university, but studying environmental studies is Ashley Hughley.
The Natural Philosophy Award is given to a student pursuing a substantial combination of studies in both the natural and social sciences, reflecting the spirit of a Renaissance education.
So this is an example of someone who is loyal to the college, an alumnus who had an idea of how this disciplines should interact and created this award, and we were happy to accept it.
The Natural Philosophy Award goes to Zachary Haight.
The Paul J. Pacini Prize in Music is given to a student studying voice in the music program to assist with expenses associated with recitals, performances, moderation, or the senior project.
This is one of two Pacini Prizes by someone whom I'm pleased to say loves music.
The Pacini Prize winner is Danielle Cohen.
The Paul J. Pacini Music Scholar is a deserving student majoring in classical music, preferably voice or composition.
Our Pacini Scholar is Patrick Staples. Congratulations.
The Charles and June Patrick Scholars have contributed to the general welfare of the college through participation in the athletics program. We have two scholars this evening.
For those of you who are athletes and users of the gym, need to know that Charles Patrick was a Greek American who had a diner on the other part of the, on the other side of the Hudson. And he was recruited by some mysterious reason to become the only coach and the director of athletics in a college that had no gym, but only the old gym. He was a very fine tennis player But he wasn't, we would have called entirely physically fit, and he smoked. And he was the nicest man on campus, and he ran the most competitive poker game. And he lived in what is now the admissions building, and his wife, June, was as outspoken as was Charlie Patrick. Charlie Patrick had his own corner in the faculty dining room where he held court. He was a terrific person, and he spent most of his career at Bard, and they were both unforgettable members of the Bard family.
Did he keep the diner?
No, I think he sold the diner, but he there was no sports program. It was really quite funny, and the person who has lived off jokes about Charles Patrick is none other than Chevy Chase.
Our first Charles and June Patrick Scholar is Union Doherty Weintraub. And our other Patrick Scholar is Justin Fumey. Congratulations to you both.
The Presser Undergraduate Scholar Award is given to an outstanding student majoring in music.
Now, this is a gift given by the music publisher Theodore Presser.
Our Presser awardee is Isabella Argondiza.
The Mark Perlia Class of 71 Memorial Scholar is a student who, in the judgment of the Division of Languages and Literature, best fulfills conditions of ability and character.
Once again, a very touching memorial gesture by the parents of a young man who died just tragically early.
Our Perlia Scholar this year is Walker White.
The Stanley and Elaine Reichel Science Scholar is an outstanding and deserving student in the sciences.
Stanley Reichel is one of the most loyal alumni of the college from the class of 65, who majored in chemistry under Hilton Weiss and went on to have a very successful business in chemicals. He and Elaine, his wife, have been terrific members of the family, Bard family, and with a keen interest in the development of the sciences here at Bard.
Our Reichel Scholar is Mia Shishova.
The Linda and Stuart Resnick Scholar is a deserving student who demonstrates exceptional academic promise and is either from California or Pennsylvania.
This requirement is the result of the fact that Stuart Resnick and Linda Resnick, they had businesses and have had businesses both in Pennsylvania and in California. And they are not only the parents of Eileen Resnick, but also her husband, who also went to Bard, and they are grandparents of two Bard alumni.
Our Resnick Scholar this year is Jonathan Say.
The Betsy Richards Class of 91 Memorial Scholar is a music major who demonstrates a strong interest in the liberal arts.
This is in memory of a very wonderful, gifted student who was a violinist who died in her senior year here at Bard.
Congratulations to our Richards Scholar, Jonah Knapp Wilson.
The David and Rosalie Rose Scholar is a student who demonstrates academic excellence and commitment to high ideals in scholarship in the field of economics.
David Rose was one of the dynamic real estate developers of New York in the post-World War II era. And the family has been enormously generous to the public library, to Lincoln Center, to many causes. And they also gave support to the college and money to build the Rose Building that is next to Hageman.
The David and Rosalie Rose Scholar is Duhita Das. Congratulations, Duhita.
Congratulations, Duhita. The Eustace and Karen Rosenberg Award is given to a moderated student or students who have shown intellectual leadership in support of their research in a written senior project in Middle Eastern or Jewish studies, or a combination of both.
Eustace Rosenberg is one of the last survivors of the French resistance, a Polish Jew from Danzig, who was heroic during the war as a young boy and emigrated to the United States, taught at Swarthmore and then at Bard since the 60s. He has even taught this year. He is almost 100 and has just published a book of his memoirs, and one of the most generous and loyal members of the Bard community.
Our first Rosenberg Award winner is Alex Guzman, and our second is Akiva Hirsch.
The William F. Ruger Class of 40 Memorial Scholar is a student of the classics who demonstrates excellence in Greek or Latin.
Bill Ruger from the Class of 40 was involved in the abolition of fraternities at Bard. Many of the buildings on the Bard campus, you may not know, once called Kappa House because there were fraternities, and he led the student effort to get rid of fraternities. He then went on to law school and became a senior vice president at GTE, a company that manufactured light bulbs and other things like that. He was a devoted amateur classicist. He was chairman of the board when I came to Bard, and a wonderful and thoughtful man.
Our Ruger Scholar is Isabella Spagnola. Congratulations, Isabella. Digging these pictures.
The Misha Schneider Scholar is a gifted young cellist in the Bard College Conservatory of Music.
I think this scholarship was established by Bob Martin, who was a student of Misha Schneider's and revered him. He was one of two brothers, Sasha and Misha Schneider, who were in probably the most famous quartet of their time, the Budapest String Quartet, whose founder had been a member of the Bard faculty in the 1950s.
Our Schneider Scholar is Lily Merschel.
The Seraphic Doctor Scholar is a student who shows a commitment to faith in God and to simplicity of lifestyle as exemplified by St. Francis.
As you see from this, this description, Joanna and Michael Schaefer met in college, and Michael became a priest in the church, and this is their gift to the college.
Our Seraphic Doctor Scholar is Jamie Holstel.
The Sirota Award for Computer Science was originally a fellowship at Bard Center for the Study of the Drone, and this award is given to a moderated student in computer science who has shown promise and dedication in using technology to improve the human condition and make a positive impact on society.
The Center for the Study of the Drone was created by two Bard alumni and still in existence and does fantastic work as a kind of research and public policy voice on the drone, and they have done terrific work, and this is a way of showing their gratitude.
Our Sirota awardee is Henning Fischel.
The Dr. Richard M. Siegel Class of 43 Memorial Prize in Music is given to a student majoring in music who demonstrates academic excellence.
This is a mirror of Richard M. Siegel's own character.
Our Siegel Prize winner tonight is Narain Darakananda.
The Cookie Hefferman Signet Scholar is a qualified and deserving student in the social studies.
So if you go, I think, to the third floor of the old Hoffman Library, you'll see a plaque in memory of Cookie Hefferman Signet as well. So this is an example of parents who wanted to memorialize their daughter who died as a very young woman.
Our recipient tonight is Nico Mbaya. Congratulations.
The Stephen P. Snyder Class of 62 Scholar has shown excellence in academics and made significant contributions to the life of the college and community.
Stephen Snyder is from the Boston area, very devoted and successful alumnus. And again, this is his way of expressing his gratitude.
Our Snyder Scholar, we saw her before, is Talaya Robinson Dancy.
The C.T. Sottery Award is given to a junior for significant achievement in chemistry and for outstanding contribution to the life and work of the Division of Science, Mathematics, and Computing.
So you'll notice a small building that's near RKC that's called Sottery. That's named for C.T. Sottery, who taught chemistry for decades. He was also, by all accounts, I never met him, an extremely conspiratorial and mean-spirited character who was feared by all the faculty. Maybe that's why they named a very small building after him. But this is an award given by his students and colleagues in his memory. Apparently, he was a terrific chemistry teacher.
Our Soddery Award winner, far kinder than CT himself, is Juliet Knapp.
Spadaccio Family Scholar in Literature is an outstanding upper college student in literature.
This requires no explanation. It's quite clear.
Our recipient is Kira Hansen.
Congratulations, Kira. The Mary and Richard Sugat Scholar has distinguished herself in both the academic life of the college and leadership of the student body.
So Mary Sugat was dean of the college, dean of the students, the job that Aaron Canan has now for decades. And interestingly, she was the only student life professional on the college campus. Richard Sugat, her husband, they lived in Rhinebeck, worked at IBM. And they had a daughter, Sarah Sugat, who went to Bard.
Our Sugat Scholar is Sakina Bennett.
The Summer Award in Classical Studies is given in recognition of the recipient's work in classics and is intended to help enrich their understanding of the ancient Mediterranean world.
This is a faculty award sponsored by the faculty.
And its recipient is Ruby Ostro. Congratulations, Ruby.
The Christina R. Tarsal Athletic Award is given to a student who exemplifies the spirit of sportsmanship and service to the athletic program.
Again, a memorial to a wonderful young woman.
Our Tarsal Award winner is Catherine Esposito.
The I. Brewster Terry III Class of 38 Memorial Scholar is a student whose commitment to liberal learning manifests itself in distinguished work in both the classroom and college community.
So I. Brewster Terry was one of the most loyal alumni of Bard through the 40s and 50s. He comes from the Columbia years, 1938, and he was also extremely involved in the Episcopal Church as well.
Our I. Brewster Terry Memorial Scholar is Brianna Estrada. Way to go, Brianna.
The William E. Thorne Scholar is a student who intends to enter the ministry.
So this may be the oldest award alongside the John Bard. So people should remember that from 1860 to the end of the First World War, overwhelming majority of students came to Bard, men, intending to become ministers in the Episcopal Church.
Our Thorne Scholar is Matthew Alvarado.
Professor Bernard Teeger Award in Labor, Community, and History is given for outstanding scholarship in labor studies or in the study of communities.
Well, Bernie Teeger became a very powerful and important member of the Bard faculty community in the post-war period. His daughter, Helene, is actually the archivist in the library, and a colorful man who later in retirement had a bookstore, a used bookstore for years, and a colorful and beloved member of the community.
Our Teeger Award winner is Noah Wirtz.
The Special Carter Tobin Prize is awarded in recognition of exceptional contribution to the technical work of the theater and performance program.
Carter Tobin is a Bard undergraduate who also died young, and this is given by his family. There are several Carter Tobin prizes. I think most of them are to graduating seniors.
The Special Carter Tobin Prize, we have two recipients. The first is Emma Gossett, and the second is Maggie McFarland. Congratulations to you both.
The Joan Tower Composition Scholar is an outstanding composition student in the Bard College Conservatory of Music.
So Joan Tower needs no introduction, one of our most distinguished faculty members, actually named a Musician of the Year by Musical America this year. and one of our most fantastic teachers. And this is in honor of her long years of service and her tireless efforts on behalf of her students and the college.
Our Joan Tower Scholar is Luke Haxma. Way to go, Luke.
The Beth M. Uffner Scholar in the Arts is a student who has shown perseverance towards facing challenges of pursuing a college education and who displays serious interest in the arts.
This is a gift from neighbors from the other side of the river who are very committed patrons of the arts.
This year's Uffner Scholar is Emmanuel Williams.
The Lindsay F. Watton III Memorial Essay Award is awarded to a student whose essay on topics in Russian and Eurasian studies demonstrates excellence and dedication to the field.
Lindsay Watton was a professor here of Russian and a terrific teacher and a wonderful colleague who died in active service here at the college to the consternation of his colleagues. And this has been established to remember him and his finest qualities.
Our Watson Memorial Essay Award winner is Walker White.
The Lindsay F. Watton III Memorial Research Award in Russian and Eurasian Studies is awarded to a rising senior whose senior project promises excellence in the field of Russian and Eurasian Studies.
The Watton Research Award goes to Noah Wirtz.
The William Weaver Prize in Music and Languages is awarded to a conservatory student whose work is in the spirit of William Weaver.
William Weaver taught at Bard until he had a stroke when he was 78. He came back to the United States. He had been an ambulance driver during the Second World War. He came to be the most important translator of Italian literature into English. He translated Umberto Eco and many others, Italo Calvino. He also was one of the most famous and well-published authorities on Verdi and Puccini in Italian opera. He was a staple of the Metropolitan Opera quiz on its broadcast. He knew everything, and a wonderful man and a more generous teacher you could not imagine. He lived on campus, and he loved the college and its ethos merging the humanities and the arts. And he also arranged for the endowment of the Bard Fiction Prize. A wonderful man, a wonderful colleague, and a distinguished writer and translator.
The Weaver Prize winner is Jingyi Zhu.
The Patricia Ross Weiss Scholars are students who have excelled in the social sciences and uphold Bard's values by ensuring a strong community. We have 2 award winners tonight.
Patricia Weiss is a trustee of the college, class of 52, and you will see the name around campus, the Weiss Cinema and other things that reflect her loyalty to Bard. And she, I think, yeah, she graduated in the same class as David and Ruth Schwab.
Our first Patricia Ross Weiss Scholar is Christina Jones, and our second is Renata Pepe.
The Hilton Weiss Scholar is an excellent upper college student in chemistry.
Well, Dan O'Neill, who is a very fine orthopedic surgeon living in New Hampshire, was a student of Hilton Weiss, who was really one of the people who modernized the teaching of science. An organic chemist and a legendary teacher. Even one of our faculty members in English took his organic chemistry just simply to experience the quality of teaching. And to teach organic chemistry with excitement and enthusiasm takes real gift. And he's retired, lives in the area, and a fantastic part of Bard's history. And Dan is absolutely devoted, as also Stan Reichel, to the influence that Hilton had on him.
The Hilton Weiss Scholar is Juliet Knapp.
The Jonathan Weiss Class of '89 Scholar in Drama Performance are students who have matriculated in the theater program and show promise for a career in acting, directing, set design, or similar fields. We have 2 award winners tonight.
Again, parents wanting to honor their child through an individual who shared the interests of that child.
Our first Weiss Scholar in Drama and Performance is Timothy Halverson, and our second is Tati Rosetta.
The Christopher Weiss Class of '92 Award in Environmental Studies and Human Rights is supporting an internship in environmental studies or human rights.
Once again, family wishing to memorialize a person who died too young and their interests.
Our WISE Award recipient is Aidan Galloway.
The Werner Wolf Scholar demonstrates excellence in the field of psychology or anthropology.
So Werner Wolf came to Bard in 1942 under Columbia's aegis, alongside many other refugees from Europe. His wife, Kate, taught music at Bard, was a pianist, and Stefan Hirsch, Heinrich Blücher, Arnaldo Modigliani, a whole group of refugees from fascist Europe arrived at Bard. He lived on campus and was beloved by students, and he was well known for the psychology of types, including the analysis of facial types, and was a prominent figure in the field of psychology.
The Wolf Scholar this year is Poppy Sheehan.
The Jane Fromm Yacenda Scholar in the Arts goes to a deserving student of painting whose work combines innovation with a love of craft.
Again, in honor of one of our own.
The Yacenda Scholar is Timothy Worley.
The Suzanne Clements Zimmer Class of 1955 Prize is given to a deserving and promising sophomore art major.
This is, again, as you can see, a gift by a spouse in memory of a woman who died, obviously, much too early in her life.
And the Zimmer Prize winner is our final awardee of the evening, and it is Ingrid Bauman. Congratulations, Ingrid, and congratulations to all of you. We are very, very proud of you.
So I want to say to all of you and to David and to Deirdre, thank you for helping with this. I congratulate all of you who won the awards, and I want to wish you an extremely productive summer and to remain safe. And we look forward to seeing each and every one of you this fall. If you have any questions, if you need anything, stay in touch with us. Don't be strangers. And let's hope we get together next semester in a happier and clearer and more optimistic circumstance. Good night, have a good, and celebrate if that's something you can do under the rules. And don't ever lose your sense of humor.